So many people fear flying. I used to be one of them. And not just a little nervous, I mean full blown panic, sweating, gripping the armrest, trying to rip them off, praying the whole time. Today, I'm going to tell you where my fear came from, how it followed me for decades, and how I finally beat it. If you fear flying, if you avoid planes, if you drive 20 hours just to stay on the ground, stay with me. You're going to relate to this one because my fear, it didn't start as an adult. It started way back when I was just a child. Let's go back in time, back to when the fear was first planted into my soul. I was around 10 years old. My family took a summer trip to Italy for the whole summer. No connections. I remember no layovers. Just one straight flight across the ocean. Back then I remembered they used to serve us meals. Remember that? When they used to serve us meals, real meals on a plane? Anyway, we were sitting there, we were eating, everything was fine. And then all hell broke loose. We ran into a storm. Not a little bump, not a little shake. I'm talking for a full hour of brutal turbulence. The plane dropped, which felt like thousands of feet. Luggage fell out of the overbins. People were screaming. And I was throwing up. And I think I kept throwing up or hacking throughout the rest of the flight. And all I wanted to do is just get off that plane. I just wanted out of that tin can. And at 10 years old, I thought, man, this is it. This is how it all ends. But anyway, we made it, obviously. I'm still here. But that moment, that storm, that flight, it stayed with me. Even after a whole summer in Italy, even after I relaxed, the fear came back the moment I knew we were heading back to Jersey. The flight home, it was perfect, perfectly fine. It was smooth, quiet, as I could remember, but the damage was done. That first experience, that carved something into me, something that stuck with me for decades. Before I go deeper into my story, let's explain something important. Most people think fear of flying is about crashing, but that's not actually true. Here's what really causes it. It's the loss of control. You can't pull over. You can't get out. You're not the one flying the plane. Claustrophobia, the tight seats, the sealed doors. There's no escape. The fear of panic itself. People aren't afraid of crashing. They're afraid of panicking in front of other people, in public. Then there's a bad experience someone might have had, like my Italian or my flight to Italy, one that's traumatic. And then obviously there's media exaggeration, plane incidents. They make headlines. People see this. It's what they see. You never see or you never hear about all the planes that have made it with no issues. Then obviously there's the ancient survival instincts. Your brain, our brain, isn't built for 35,000 feet. The most obvious is turbulence. There's a misunderstanding. It feels dangerous, but it's not. The plane is flying through invisible waves. They're air pockets. It's through the atmosphere, just like a boat goes over waves in the ocean. Riding that boat over choppy water. Why does turbulence happen? There's wind changes, which is most common, the different layers of air that moves at different speeds. When the plane crosses between them, you get those bumps. Then there's just jet streams, fast moving rivers of air high in the atmosphere causing turbulences. Then there's the mountains. The air gets pushed up, creating waves of turbulence, downwind. Then obviously there's the storms. The thunderstorms create rising and falling air currents. Pilots avoid these though. It's normal, but it's safe. Then there's the clear air turbulence, the sneaky ones. No clouds, no warning. They're still safe. They're just uncomfortable. And understanding this is the first step to beating fear. I avoided flying like the plague. If there was a way to drive, I drove. I didn't care. It didn't matter if it took 10 hours, 20 hours, 2 days, 3 days. I'd rather waste time on the road than step on or into a plane. Vacations? Only places I could reach were by car. Business trips? I'd find excuses after excuse, delays. I'd schedule conflicts. But folks, life doesn't always give you a choice. As I got older, especially once I landed a job in the corporate world, flying became a necessity. It was unavoidable. And that's when the fear evolved. One of the flights that really tested me was a business trip to Puerto Rico. We will skip the main flight to San Juan. Let's touch on a tin can I had to fly from San Juan to Mayagüez. It was a tiny propeller plane, maybe seated 6 to 10. You could practically touch the pilot. It was only a half-hour flight. Prior to boarding, I said to one of the people in line waiting to get on or board the plane that I didn't think we were going to make it. This shit ain't safe. And of course, I insulted one of the locals that overheard me. He got angry and he said this is something he did for work every day. And it's the most safest thing that anyone can get on. Okay, the moment I stepped on to and boarded that plane, that childhood fear came rushing back. Nobody told me I was going to get on this tin can to fly from San Juan to Mayagüez. And I'm sure if they did, I wouldn't have taken that flight or scheduled that trip. But anyway, back to the story. A curtain separated the passengers from the crew, the pilots. The pilots, they looked like 12-year-old, like my 12-year-old cousins. I felt like, WTF, man. Seriously. Oh, shitting. Once we were in flight, you could feel everything. We went through this storm cloud. I swear, it lasted 10 minutes. Everyone was looking at each other. You look out the plane, you just look across you. You're in this dark cloud. Above you, the side of you, below you. And it lasted 12 minutes. It was dark. You could see the lightning. It was scary, man. Real scary. I thought we were going to run into something and the plane was going to explode. Throughout those 10 minutes, that's all that kept going through my head. We landed safely. Now, let me tell you about one of the worst episodes, one of the worst that I've ever had. It was a trip to Chicago. I was in my late 30s, maybe early 40s. I created a Microsoft Access database for the sales force, the sales team. And I had to train the Chicago sales staff. It was a simple trip. I think it was a Monday through a Wednesday, a few days. But here's the thing. The fear didn't start at the airport. It started 2 weeks prior. 2 weeks of heart palpitations, nausea, sleepless nights, the feeling I was having a heart attack every day. The morning of the flight, there was snow in the forecast. Perfect. The company sent a limo. And I remember, and I think we all do, if you were working for the corporate world back then, they took care of you. Not like today. You got to take an Uber. You got to take your own car. You got to have someone drop you off. But anywho, halfway to the airport, I told the driver, please pull over. I opened the door and vomited on the side of the road. I explained my fear. He was a nice guy. He gave me the classic flying is safe speech. Yeah, I know. Let me tell you, nothing helps. We get to the airport. I check in. I walk to the gate. I look outside. I see snow on the wings, snow on the ground. And I said to myself, man, WTF, man, snow everywhere. I lost it. Of course, I couldn't board. I walked up to the counter and just did a 180. I didn't care. Got home. My boss contacted me and obviously knew I didn't make the flight. And he said, "Where are you?" Told him he wasn't happy. He told me he should fire me and we needed to meet the next morning. He gave me one pass, just that one pass. Next time, he said I'd be terminated. And you know what? It never happened again. That was rock bottom, folks. And the whole thing, too, is that snowstorm, it wasn't really a snowstorm. We must have had like a quarter of an inch on the ground. That's how scared I was back then. Now, if you think the Chicago story was bad, wait till you hear about this one, the trip to California. I had a week-long business event for one of our ERP systems I was champion at the time. I was excited, of course, get to meet good people, people that created the software. It was a 6-hour flight. I didn't sit with my coworkers. I didn't want anyone to watch me panic. So picture this, a grown man gripping the armrest like he's trying to rip them off, sweating, praying always, pale as a ghost. That was me back then. A girl next to me, she noticed. She was a nice girl. She tried to talk me down. So we're 4 hours in. Boom, crack, bam, shaking, vibration, plane drops. I would swear it was 4,000 feet. Overhead bins popped. Luggage fell out. People screaming. I looked at the girl next to me. That poor girl, she was pale white, gripping the armrest harder than I was. And all I remember at the time, I just started laughing. Not because it was funny, because I finally realized all these people who talk snap and big, who say flying is safe, who act like turbulence is nothing, when things get real, they're just as scared, if not tenfold more than I am. We landed onto foam. It was all over the runway. Fire trucks, police cars, emergency crews. Turns out one of the engines had a problem. We survived, and that flight changed me. At the time, I had more courage than I ever gave myself credit for. It took years of flights, years of panic attacks, years of forcing myself to get onto planes. But I learned how to manage it. I talked to pilots. I learned the statistics, the science behind it. I created rituals. And this is where I think it helps me the most. I always would make sure I would have a playlist ready for the flight. I'd make sure I'd bring my earbuds or a headset. Always had to have a window seat. Reason for that is I used to start liking to look out at the sky. Beautiful at times. The sunset, the rise, the land beneath you, the ocean. And then obviously I would also search for UFOs. You never know, you might see one. I'm sure other people do it too. What also helped me too, along with the music, is I would close my eyes during turbulence. I would do toe raises to distract my brain. I would focus on the feeling of arriving home. These weren't magic tricks. They were mind hacks. And eventually, the fear faded. And for the last 15, 20 years, I love flying. I can't wait to get on a plane for that next flight. So if you fear flying, I get it. I lived it. I suffered through it. But fear is not the truth. Fear is a memory in your brain that refuses to let it go. If I can overcome it after storms, prop planes, engine failures, you can too. And I've got plenty of these stories. More flights, more moments that shaped me. Stick around. because this journey is just getting started. If any of the things that I've suggested sounds like it could work, try it out. Let me know how you make out. It worked for me. Find some sort of ritual. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, be safe, be healthy, be happy. Live in the moment, my friends. Life is short. To 100 years, Chantani. God bless.